Hi guys, Olive here. Today I'm here to tell you what I read for the October 2016 Dewey's 24-Hour Readathon. This was my third time participating in the Dewey's 24-Hour Readathon. I plan ahead to participate in Dewey's 24-Hour Readathon, but I decided not to make a TBR this year because I have found during my previous times of participating that it really works better for me if I have a general idea of what I may want to read, but I don't hold myself to it too much. I find I do better in specifically Dewey's 24-Hour Readathon if I have the freedom to pick up whatever I'm feeling like reading at that moment. If I'm feeling restricted in what I can read, I really lose momentum, which is kind of vital when you're trying to read as much as you can for 24 hours. Total, I read 655 pages. I read 2 full books and then finished another book. I don't time myself exactly, but I think I read for about 11 or 12 hours, which is pretty good for me. So of course, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the books that I did read during Dewey's 24-Hour Readathon, the first of which was A Most Novel Revenge by Ashley Weaver. This is book number 3 of the Amory Ames Cozy Mystery series. The first 2, Murder at the Brightwell and Death Wears a Mask, which is the second book I have talked about on this channel. This book just came out at the beginning of October, and I had it on pre-order. I read the second book in the series during Dewey's 24-Hour Readathon last October, and I found that these make just like the perfect readathon books. The writing is really fun and really good, but it's very easy to fly through, and there's an element of suspense with it being a cozy mystery, so it keeps pulling you through, which is really what you need for a good readathon. Once again, Amory Ames finds herself caught up in a murder mystery investigation. Amory's relationship with her husband Milo is absolutely hysterical, and the characters have such a presence. They really come off the page so strongly. I love the sarcastic comments that Amory and Milo are just constantly throwing at each other. The mystery in this book is that there was a scandal a few years back at a country estate that involved a bunch of people who were enjoying a party a little bit too much, and someone ended up dead. The death was thought to be an accident until one of the attendees of this big party decided to write a novel about the whole thing, in which she accuses one of the other partygoers of killing this gentleman who died. The novel ends up ruining her reputation, ruining everybody's reputation who was at that party. And then many years later, she ends up inviting all of the people who were involved in that accident back to the mansion because she says she has something to tell them. If in that description you're getting vibes of the movie Clue, you would be spot on. This book obviously drew a ton of inspiration from the movie Clue, which I am not mad about. I love that movie. This wasn't my favorite book in the series, but it was still a ton of fun, keeping in line with the other 2 books in the series. I would still recommend it. I am 100% going to continue on reading this. I hope she does release a new one every October, because it really does make a nice tradition to read the new Amory Ames every October during Dewey's. And then I went on to finish Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I had been buddy reading this one since the beginning of the week with a large group of booktubers. Technically today was supposed to be the last day of our group buddy read, but I just went ahead and finished the book. I know a couple other people did as well, and now we're just waiting for everybody to finish so we can talk about the ending of this book. As a whole, this book was not what I was expecting. I was expecting the gothic elements and a little bit of suspense, but not to this degree. It is so twisty-turny. It is so perfect for the fall season. It is also just incredibly written. This book was written in the 1930s, and I did mention in our group chat as well of just how timeless I found this story and this writing to be. It has really aged well. I didn't find really anything about the language foreign or intimidating the way you do in some other classics. This is a very famous and very widely read book, but in case you do not know the premise of it, it is about a young girl who meets a man who is basically old enough to be her father and becomes his second wife. His first wife has died in a drowning accident, and she comes with him to his large country estate, which is called Manderley, and becomes the new mistress of the house. The staff of the house doesn't really know how to feel about her, especially like the head woman in charge, whose name is Mrs. Danvers. They were very committed to the previous mistress, Rebecca. Because Rebecca was so beloved in the community and with the staff, our main character, our narrator, who is never named, starts to get some hostile vibes. It turns into this gothic, dark tale that takes you places that you just cannot anticipate. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I am so looking forward to talking about this with the group of ladies over Voxer. It was incredible. And the last book I read is one that I have so recently acquired that I didn't even have a chance to haul it yet. I read Slade House by David Mitchell. I had just picked this one up at a library book sale that I went to earlier in the week, which happens to be pretty much my favorite library book sale in my area. When I saw this book, which is in basically brand new condition, and all hardbacks were $1, I audibly gasped. I think I freaked out some fellow attendees at the book sale. This was my first David Mitchell book. I was going to read this one last October when it was first released. I had it on hold from the library and everything, but I ended up not doing it because I was getting some conflicting reports as to whether or not I should read the Bone Clocks first, because I think this is set in the same universe. At first I heard people saying you should hold off, and then later on I heard people say no, you don't have to have read the Bone Clocks. So when I picked this up from the library book sale and I saw how short it is, and I knew how compelling the plot seemed, I thought that this would be a great one for the readathon, and it really was. This is a book about the haunted house, Slade House, whose doors only open every 9 years to someone who is a little different, a little sad, a little lonely. They are invited into the house. For each person, what they see when they get into the house is different, and at first they don't want to leave. But by the time they realize what might be going on, it's too late to leave. I don't want to say anything more than that because I don't want to spoil the experience for you, but I thought it was going to be scarier than it was. I'm glad it wasn't, because my very bright self decided that it was a good idea to pick this one up after sunset. I was very afraid I was going to have to either throw this book in the freezer or end up with nightmares, but thankfully neither of those things happened. It was very enjoyable, 3.5 to 4 star experience for me. It didn't blow my mind, but it was really fun. It kept pulling me along even when sleep was starting to drag my eyelids down. I would definitely recommend it. I really do want to read some of David Mitchell's other work. I know how highly regarded he is, and I know that he has a propensity for writing stories with interconnecting characters, which has been my favorite type of book these days. Would definitely recommend it. So those were the results of my reading during Dewey's of October 2016. Again, I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm really surprised I didn't end up with nightmares, because I read a cozy mystery, which isn't too freaky, but then I moved on to basically a gothic thriller, and I read the end of it, which is insane. And then from there, I went basically directly into a horror book. So even if I weren't impressed with having read 655 pages, I would still be impressed with myself that I managed not to work myself into nightmares. I hope you all had a great experience with Dewey's 24-hour readathon. I'm already looking forward to April. If you have any thoughts or comments on any of the books I read, or you want to let me know how Dewey's went for you, you can put it in the comment section below. Or you can reach me on a variety of places on social media, and all the links are in the description box below for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.